It's like, just calm down, folks. Just calm down.
I
have
Well.
4 letters. UGLY.
Yeah,
Ugly.
yeah.
That was ugly, Car.
Yep, it is ugly, but what is not ugly is this show. And we are the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. Father son duo, Barry on the top, aka number one Oiler fan, and his son Carson, myself, who we are Texas based. Well, he's Canadian, I'm Texan, but uh, hockey son and father duo who love watching the game. Dad's team Edmonton Oilers, so they're in the finals right now. My team Pittsburgh Penguins. We recap all the games that our teams play as well as the weekly events in the NHL. Obviously, now the weekly events of every week for the past month and a half, 2 months have been the Stanley Cup playoffs. Before we get into that, so that way we can get all of the words saved from Mr. Besse's mouth for later. We want to thank everybody for their support and who help us out with the show. The Refocus Radio Network, powered by Shemaya Reed, who they place us on their network, Revolving Radio Network. Every show that we put on gets uploaded the day afterwards, along with plenty of other great shows such as Sweep the League with Rudy Campos Jr., who is knee deep in the NBA Finals right now, which is tied 1-1 after Oklahoma City tied it up against Indiana yesterday. So they're about even with the NHL as far as where they're at. The MLB, obviously, they've got a few months yet till the postseason, but that's still something they work on. NFL season's right around the corner. Draft just happened, so plenty of stuff that they work on. So we take care of the hockey, they take care of the rest of the stuff. But like Dad says, there's some other great shows as well, not related to sports, on that Refocus Radio Network, and we're just happy to be a part of it. Another great show is I Am Refocused Radio with Shemaya Reed, who he has plenty of interesting guests on that show. He interviews about various topics. But again, we're just very happy to be on the network. And as well, you can find us on our YouTube, Best Boy Sunrise Podcast, trying to gain more support so we can have a different platform to stream on, as well as Spreaker, which is just the audio portion in case you can't watch it, you're driving or whatever. It's a great place to have that uh, on there, but mainly as well, Dad does his TikToks for the Oiler games. I do mine for the Penguin games during the season. But YouTube is the one we're trying to grow right now. So hopefully by the time next season rolls around, we have enough of a following to do live streams on that. Well. So tonight we were heading into a highly anticipated game after a longer break. I mean, 2.5 days off really between game two, which was on Monday to Thursday, but very well expected. This is the furthest geographical distance between two teams in the NHL, and they have to make that travel and obviously coordinate with the NBA Finals, so they get an extra day's rest. And so this was going to be a very interesting game because Florida came, almost forced Edmonton in regulation. Edmonton ties it in game two just for Brad Marchand to win it in double overtime. So we were anticipating, honestly, a very close game. Wouldn't be surprised if it was in overtime. And we got the opposite as the Florida Panthers and very lightly kill the Edmonton Oilers tonight, 6-1, in a another first period penalty fest that would just featured power play after power play, penalty after penalty, and as the game went on, more penalties kept happening. The Panthers just took this game over. Um, Tons of great plays by their part. Sam Bennett continues to roll. He got another goal tonight. Evan Rodriguez gets a power play strike at the end. Aaron Ekblad, a beautiful, beautiful goal in that passing play on the power play. Carter Verhaeghe got a goal in this one. Corey Perry got one for the Oilers. Nate Schmidt got his fifth assist of the Stanley Cup final tonight, which is impressive to say the least from a guy who's definitely not one of their top on their top defensive pair, and he's still making it work. But the story of this game was the Panthers absolutely have figured out how to get in the heads of the Edmonton Oilers and have figured out how to beat them. And it hasn't gone the other way around where the Oilers have figured out how to beat the Panthers yet. The Oilers take way too many penalties and are so undisciplined every time they're going down the ice. They're in a pushing match with the Panthers. They're trying to get back at Marchand. They're trying to get back at Bennett. They're trying to get back at these guys, and they continuously just keep taking penalties. And at this time of the year, That's not how you win the Stanley Cup. Another force of concern for the Oilers and their fan base, Stuart Skinner. He gets pulled tonight. He had a rough game, rough start right off the bat, got scored on the first minute, looked unbalanced, looked uneasy. He just looked like he wasn't ready, and Bob looked like he was ready. And there was a difference there. But yeah, the Oilers get their butts handed to them, and they're in a bad situation right now. I mean, it's 2-1, but it's not good. They got owned. Florida's figured out how to get them, how to beat them, and they've got to win this next game or this could be over. At this time, now with my part of this done, then we'll probably after this go back into more detail. We're going to get into this rant from number one Oiler fan Barry on his recap. Mr. Besse, the floor is yours. Let's hear what you have to say.
Well, thank you very much, young Carson. I sat here watching this game and just, penalty after penalty after penalty. And the Florida Panthers went 3-for-11 on the power play. You look at the stats right now, and I'm seeing the penalty sheet is just
Loaded.
They probably had to go to 2 or 3 different.
There's like
penalty
140,
sheets.
150 some odd penalty minutes in the game, I think.
Well, I've watched this game all my whole life. I've been an Edmonton Oilers fan, as everybody knows, my entire life.
We don't know that.
Yeah, my entire life, even back in the WHA days, back in the 70s, and then when they started in the NHL in the 80s. Watched this team play a lot of great hockey, and I watched this team play a lot of really bad hockey. But I can honestly say, for the first time in my lifetime as an Oiler fan, I've never been more disappointed in this team than I am right now. And it's a combination of the undisciplined nature. You're in game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. This isn't game 3 of the regular season or game 3 of the preseason. This is game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And if you can't control your emotions and you can't stay out of the penalty box and you can't all they were thinking about, like you said, was revenge, was getting back at Marchand, getting back at Tkachuk, getting back at Bennett, getting back at all these guys the whole game, not just for a period of the game, the whole game. That's all they did. I think they said something like Florida had 16 minutes worth of power play time, which is almost a full period.
Yeah, that can happen.
This team tonight, the Edmonton Oilers team tonight, I am embarrassed right now to be a fan of this team. And I've never said that before. I've never said that through all the down times, through everything. But what I saw tonight was not a team fighting for the Stanley Cup. What I saw is a team bent on revenge and somehow thinking that they were going to get into the heads of the Florida Panthers, but it was the other way around. Florida is like now living rent-free in Edmonton Oiler land heads. And if the Edmonton Oilers, if this team doesn't come together in the next 2 days and have a little bit of a come-to-Jesus meeting, this series is going to be done. They won't get to 7 games like they did last year.
No.
They won't make that miracle run.
No.
You can't play the other team's game. And tonight was a great example of the Oilers playing Florida's game. And Florida just sitting back, taking everything in stride, taking all the cheap shots that the Oilers were giving them. And there were cheap shots.
Yeah. But they were just taking them and they weren't retaliating back. Okay.
They were retaliating.
But then even then on the power play, Florida was just chilling. It looked like they just had it. And they were like, okay, let's just play ring around the rosy. And if we score, we score. If we don't, we don't.
Stu Skinner had a bad game. He had a really bad game. But he wasn't the one taking undisciplined penalties. Sure, he got a delayed game penalty, but he wasn't taking the bad penalties. So, I think pulling Stu was good. Give him, after 5 goals, you don't want to have your goaltender embarrassed out there. So you put Pickard in. Now, do you put Pickard back in game? I don't know. In game 4? I don't know. That Pickard was 6-0 going into. He's looked good at points in this series, but look at the numbers alone. He's let in 12 goals this series.
right?
something. Well,
Or no, 13 because he let
yeah.
in 5. He's let in 3, 5, and 5. So that's not gonna win you this time of the year. But
See, that's what they did in the first two games
they
of the LA
completely
series.
abandoned their game plan. The
Yep.
Oilers completely abandoned their game plan. Uh, they went in there, I think, probably thinking they could go out there and play their game, and then they got thrown off of it, and they just tried out panthering the Panthers, and it's not going to work
No.
against them. But yeah, I
No.
agree. I mean, I've watched some of those bad Oiler games, and this is the worst game I've seen them play. I mean, they got owned from the beginning. Florida was doing everything to frustrate them. 11 power plays you gave the other team, 11, and all of them are deserved. All of them,
Mhm.
every last one of them.
Yep.
You had the one RV shouldn't have gone right into Bobrovsky and knocked him over. And then you have all these high sticking penalties, all these roughing penalties they're taking. Every minute somebody's getting thrown out of the game.
Mhm.
Even at the end there, Kapanen got thrown out and he's engaging with the fans. You can't do that. Like you can't. You're letting Florida know they're in your heads already. And
Yep.
so they have the upper hand because they're at home, number one. Number two, they know how to get in your head again. They know how to do it. And they're gonna do it. They're gonna keep doing it.
So you're right. If Edmonton doesn't turn this thing around, it's only a 2-1 series lead. Okay. 2-1 series lead is not that difficult at all to overcome. But if the Oilers don't come out and play their game,
Mhm.
which is that speed up and down the
It's
ice
done.
game, it's done. It's done. This is going to be um, a, a, a shorter series than what we thought. It's all in the hands of those 22, 23 players or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the coaches. It's
No.
not the general manager. It's not the fans. It's those 20
Yeah.
to 23 guys out there that have to come together and decide, let's get back to playing Oiler hockey, get back to how we got to the Stanley Cup final. And undisciplined stuff,
Yeah.
that has got to go. You're going to get penalties. There's going to be penalties. But this
And
constant,
they've
constant,
given Florida probably already over 20 power plays this series
yeah,
already. And
yeah.
I mean, I want to know for you, watching the game, what are your thoughts as the game just continues to go on and on and on and it just keeps on like adding up? They just keep on doing it over and over and
It's
over.
just like you're thinking, okay, stop taking penalties. You keep saying to yourself, guys, stop taking stupid penalties, and then take another one. Stop taking stupid penalties, even though I know Florida got 3 goals, but like stop because you're ruining the momentum of the game. You can't get
Well,
your big guys out.
yes. And I mean, the afterthought now, Corey Perry scored to make it 2-1.
Yeah,
And then right after that, it all blew up and fell apart. Like it's over.
yeah.
Florida got 2 quick ones, which still there's a lot of time left. You got over half the game, and that Oilers just abandoned the plan. They're like, let's forget it. Like let's just try to
No,
out. I don't even know what to call
I
that.
they tried to get in the heads of the Florida Panthers, and
It didn't do that.
that's not Edmonton's game. Edmonton's game is to just skate and be
Mhm.
speed and go up and down the ice.
This
And
is the most lopsided game I've seen in a long time. I mean,
this
literally, the
isn't
Panthers
this
just
isn't
owned it.
this isn't that wasn't a Stanley Cup final game. That was a game you play in the preseason. That was a game you play in the early part of the regular season. This wasn't it was not game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And I'm a I'm a proud Oiler fan, but right now I am disappointed in this hockey team and the way that these guys played the game. That's not a hockey game out there tonight. That was just a let's get back at these guys for whatever reason.
Now,
And
and the other side of this is going to add so much entertainment to the rest of the series for non-hockey fans and fans of other teams because it was just carnage. Like fights after fight after
yeah,
fight after fight after fight. It's like holy, like how many of these are going to happen? And you know, as a hockey fan, I'm watching that. I'm like, yeah, this isn't a cup final game. It's crazy that this is going on at this time of the year,
mhm,
but the Panthers have it figured out, and that's what's concerning me. If I'm watching the Oilers, is that the Panthers know how to beat them. The Oilers haven't figured out how to beat the Panthers. They beat them game one, but the Panthers have completely reversed it. And really, you look at it this way: one overtime win away from
mhm,
a 3-0 lead again.
yep,
Like that's how close. Then this is not a series you want to go down 3-1
no,
because Florida's beaten you there. They've this is just Awful loss, worst loss the Oilers have had in a long time. That's
Well,
for sure.
I can't remember a worse loss in
Well,
the
it was
playoffs.
just, and they never abandoned that plan of just doing that stupid stuff, and they kept doing it until the very end of the game. Even after the final buzzer, they're still going. They're still going all that time, and the Panthers have still got
Yeah.
you right around their finger, and they're just like, okay. I mean, they're throwing their guys out there that's like, okay, like we can play fine if these guys are in the box. The Oilers are losing some of their bigger guys really
Mhm.
from this.
Yeah, it's just there was no flow to the game. There was all these penalties. It was just like I said at the beginning of the broadcast. It was
It was horrible.
UGLY ugly.
It was
It
horrible.
was not a Stanley Cup final game. Very disappointing because we had two classic games to start the series, and then we get this one. Now, with that being all said, you turn around in a couple of days, you've got Game 4 in Florida, and the Oilers have to
They have to win.
they have to win. They have to come up with that formula. They have to stay out of the penalty box. They have to play Edmonton Oiler hockey. They have to stay away from all that stuff. They've got to
Can
get the big
do you
boys.
think they can? Do you think they can do it
I
realistically?
still think they can. I still think they can. Um, they a lot will depend on how they start Game 4.
Yeah.
If they're playing from behind, it's going to be awfully hard. Um, my heart and will still always say, I will go up with this team and I'll go down with this team. Um, I'm I'm just still trying to process this game, and I think for Oilers players, management, for Oilers coaches, for Oilers fans, it's just put this one away, sit down, and say,
I don't even know how you can. I really don't. I mean, this is going to be ugly quick if they lose again because Florida just figured out the system. They know how to get them, and they're going to keep doing it. That's the thing; they're going to keep doing it, and it's up to the Oilers if they're just going to let it go or if they're going to engage in it. Because the minute they engage in it, they're going
Mhm,
to start calling them every time. They're going to do it. That's what they're. It's proven the agenda of this series. They're going to be calling everything. So don't engage in it because if you do, it's going to cost you. You'd rather it where Florida's the one taking those penalties instead of it's Edmonton doing it every time. And yeah, I mean you no flow because there's almost a whole period of power play time that the Panthers are getting and
mhm,
even 4-on-4, I mean that's no flow to the game because your fourth liners aren't playing, your third liners aren't playing, it's all your top guys over and over.
mhm.
Um, this could be
Oh,
this could be quick if the Oilers continue to do what they did today a little bit, this could be a 5 gamer if they do that
well,
because the
remember
Panthers have.
we go back to the last two series for the Oilers. We were thinking it's not going to be a quick series, and the Oilers made it a quick series. Well, Florida's making this one really dang quick, a quick series. If the Oilers don't pardon my expression, get their head out of their asses and start playing Oiler hockey again, this is going
Yeah,
to be a quick one.
this was not at all an Oiler game.
This is not an Oiler game. So I don't know. You go back, and I think you have players have a meeting,
Yep,
and I think they need what Connor McDavid did last year in after Game 2, where he
yelled at
berated
him.
them, yelled at them, and saying, This is the Cup Finals. This is not how you play Game 2." Well, this is not how you play
And
Game
this was
2.
worse than any game they played last
Oh yeah,
time against them. This was awful.
yeah. So all the props to Florida. They came out and played their game, and they just kept coming. They ignored all the
Yep,
after the whistle garbage. They won 6-1. Bob wasn't really he didn't have to be Bob,
but he was.
but he was, and because the Oilers were just playing a different game, they weren't even in the game. So okay, the rant is over. I'm always going to
That's
be
honestly not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was going to be worse, but I just it's the game was the worst game. And like I said, the only thing I could say is I am never been this disappointed in this team and in the
Yeah,
whole
what they did today. Yeah,
40, 50 years or whatever. that they've been in existence playing professional hockey. And it's one thing to do it and then stop and then don't take, but they kept
doing it.
They kept doing it. They kept doing it. They kept doing it. So see what happens. Game 4 is going to be Thursday, another couple of days off. Thursday night in Sunrise, Florida. 7 o'clock is going to be the game time on Thursday. We will be on the air probably, I would say, a half hour after that game. And this game seemed like it was never going to end. I was like, geez, is this game ever going to end? So we'll be on the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast 2025 Stanley Cup Final Wrap-Up Show. Like I said, about 30 minutes after the game ends on Thursday. Game number 5 will be back in Edmonton. Just a quick turnaround. It'll be on Saturday. So we're here right until they present the cup to whoever they're going to present the cup to. Right now, after tonight, it doesn't look very good for the Oilers, but
you never know.
We could see a turnaround. We could see them start playing Oiler hockey again. They can play Oiler hockey like they did against Dallas and against Vegas. To get back to that, things are going to be different. But right now, lick your wounds
and go
have a meeting. Stop this undisciplined crap. Go on and play game 4 Thursday night. Again, thanks to Carson for all the great graphics and the intro, which is still his favorite thing to see me go. Just, calm down, folks. That's still his favorite thing to do. And we like to thank, of course, the Refocus Radio Network for having the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast YouTube channel on there. I'm going to do a quick TikTok to get it all out of my system today.
Good. I'm ready.
So I'll be doing that one here real quick before I head off to bed. So again, Car, great stuff. Yep. Thank you very much. We will, of course, be back with you after game 4 on Thursday night. And in the meantime, and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night.